Welcome to the first episode of Generation Alley-Oop, a podcast about everything basketball. We designed this podcast for everyone who's passionate about basketball. I am Curtis, and this is my co-host, Jake.
Hey now. Okay, so the first of our weekly segments, we're going to do the Player of the Week. And really, this doesn't have to necessarily be a player who's doing well. It could be a player who's doing bad. Just something we find interesting and someone we want to talk about.
Yeah, well, our Player of the Week is going to be Giannis. He's really good.
And he's been good for a long time, but he's one of those guys, I think he's kind of stepped it up to a new level this year. Really, with Dame Lillard gone, he's got kind of even bigger load of the usual, kind of heavy load he has, right? So, what do you think he's doing better at this year?
I just think, all-around game for his position. I know he's, a leader of the team, of course, but, before it was he gets his points in, and he gets his rebounds in. But, he's just doing so good. He's 16th in assists at the moment. He's also first in points and 5th in rebounds. And for not, a point guard, a big point guard or something, that's really amazing. I could see a Luka Doncic doing that, but, a Giannis stepping up and doing that is very surprising.
Yeah. And you got to remember, now he's 30 years old, right? And he's a guy who relies on his athleticism a lot. You figure he'd start to kind of tail off, especially because he doesn't really shoot from the outside, really. He kind of relies just on kind of that strength and overwhelming power. But one thing, even this year, he doesn't take a lot of threes, and it's pretty early, but he's shooting 50% from three. That's his biggest weakness, right? So, if that's something that could last, he becomes even more devastating.
Yeah, I think about when you said he was old, they're he's athletic, but he's older, so it's a big issue now. If you lay off him for a second, he will make you pay. And I think that a huge issue of his is free throws, because if he just bumps it up to 75%, he could be that much better and that much farther away at first in points and all around play.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, that's the scary thing, is he's leading the league in scoring or near the top every year, and he shoots 11, 12 free throws a game, and he only makes 65%. So he's leaving probably 3 points on the table just not being able to shoot those free throws. He'd be averaging 36 points a year in a lot of these, or points a game in a lot of these seasons.
Yeah, I think also now comes to the point where Giannis is down low. It's late in the game, close, and you have 2 fouls. You'll foul him just so he doesn't dunk it, and then he'll miss both free throws, and then that's a huge part to the game. And it's not just his points per game. It's also just their team, because he's always has the ball. There's never a play that he doesn't touch the ball. So if they can just foul him on these wide open layups, that's a big liability for the team, because they're just giving up, instead of 2 points, it automatically becomes a point.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where his effective field goal percentage is, I think, actually higher than his true shooting. In other words, you foul him, he shoots 60, 62% from the free throw line, but he's shooting north of that from the field, right? So to your point, it's obviously, in a lot of instances, it's better to just do a hack of Giannis, right? So that's a pretty big weakness of his. But, he's always been a high usage, high efficiency guy, but he's even got a bigger load with Dame Lillard gone this year. There's really no other creator on that team. So, given all that, do you think they are an actual contender, given that it's really just kind of a one-man show?
Well, I think it just depends. He can make his mid-rangers, but he can't make his free throws. It's very confusing. And with Dame Lillard gone, I just think they don't really have that many people who could nail an open three. So, they don't have that many people who will sit around the 3-point line and, get you, a liability. Because then, now they can just put, 3 guys down low on Giannis, and he doesn't really have an option to kick out to. So, it's hard to think of, another person there to play. So it's just that much easier to guard Giannis.
Yeah, Ryan Rollins has been a bit of a revelation. I don't know if that's going to last. We're only, we're 3 or 4 weeks into the season. But Kyle Kuzma, I don't trust him in the playoffs. Miles Turner's good defensively, but, maybe they'll just kind of rely on their defense in the playoffs. And the East is weak, so maybe there really is an opportunity for them to kind of make some noise in the postseason.
Yeah, what I think I want for them this season to actually, have Giannis being that dude. If he keeps up these numbers, I think I'd want them to be definitely, because they've always been, that 6 seed and then lose in the first round to the Knicks. at the 3 seed. That's what's been happening over and over again. If they can be like the 4 seed and make it to the conference finals and like lose to the Knicks or something, because the Knicks, it's very open in the East for top seeds because the Celtics have been a huge disappointment. Like the Knicks are doing really good and the Bucks are too. So like, as long as he's a top 4 seed and I hope make it to the conference finals, I think that'll like cement Giannis as like this big player because finally he's had that one chip, but like his playoffs has not been amazing.
No, I mean at least he has that one title from 21, but obviously he's a lot of injuries in the postseason, a lot of disappointments lately. But the East is, I mean, he's clearly the best player in the East right now. You could even make an argument he's the MVP right now or close to it. Him, Shea, Jokic, the same kind of people, Luka. But in the East, Cleveland struggled a bit. The Knicks have looked solid, but they're always kind of a disappointment in the playoffs. So, we'll see. But I think it's obviously about as good a start as you could hope for the Bucks.
Yeah, I think another thing that is big is like Tyrese Halliburton's injury will take the Pacers off that top list. And, the Bucks, they lost to the Pacers like that's like a team.
Jason Tatum's out,
yes.
Of course, so yeah.
That's another reason the Celtics, like, he's open for domination in the East. And I think in the West, I think the voters might want to switch it up because it's been Jokic over and over again. He does deserve it, but Shea finally wins one. I think it's just like, it's these same new guys who just make these easy shots. Giannis is exciting, he'll dunk it, he'll shoot you, he'll get insane stat lines. Like, if the Bucks are decent, I think he can have a real chance of being MVP if he keeps up these numbers.
Yeah, and I think they might have a chance to win the title. And this might be their last chance, given Tatum will be back next year, Halliburton, he's getting older. A lot of people thought he might kind of demand a trade in the offseason, and now that's really quieted down. But I think in a lot of ways this is their last hope for Milwaukee to really go for it this year, because I don't think they're going to be in the mix probably moving forward.
Yeah, because injuries plus age, and I've Lillard's gone, and I get maybe he might actually hurt them in the long term, but I just don't think, because here's the thing, if Ryan Rollins keeps this up, I think maybe this year he could have a great season, but here's the thing. If he still has his stat line at the end of the year, great season for them. He's a great piece of them. But I don't think he can do it for the next year. So it's everything falls on them this year. I really can't see a 4 seed and then they just lose in the first round because that's what Giannis does so much.
Yeah, I mean, some of this is matchups. But, more to come remains to be seen. But, again, Giannis is really off to a great start. Can't really think of kind of a better start to the season given their expectations.
Now, welcome to the main portion of our podcast. Now, what I wanted to talk about was how, I was just hanging at home creating an NBA tier list for fun, when I think I may have created a actually really good tier list. And, of course, I needed your thoughts on my tier list.
Yes, well, I'd be glad to pick it apart, so why don't you start us off?
Okay, so first up, we're going to go to the bad but not fun to watch section. Now, we have
So what does this mean exactly?
It means, they are not very good teams, or at least at the end of the year, I don't think they're going to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just annoying to watch. Okay?
Okay.
First, we have the New Orleans Pelicans, then the Wizards, the Nets, the Hornets, the Kings, the Raptors, and the Magic.
Okay, wait a minute. I'll agree on most of these, but you're telling me the Magic are bad? I know they've had a bit of a struggle, but, before the season started, a lot of people thought they were kind of in that second tier in the Eastern Conference behind your Clevelands, but, really right in the mix for kind of a deep playoff run with Desmond Bane, and now you're telling me they're in the same class as a Wizards or a Nets? Why don't you explain yourself a little bit here?
Well, one, they're the highest in there.
Okay.
But also, you have to admit they're not fun to watch at all.
I'll agree with the not fun to watch.
Yes. And to me, I just think that, Desmond Bane, I don't know if he fits really well on that team. And, it's just overall, Franz Wagner, I think he's going to do a good stat line. Just, I don't really like the play of Paolo Banchero. I just don't think that he can do really good. Now looking back on it, maybe they'll make it into the play-in. And if they make it to the playoffs, I just don't think they can do anything. But I just think they're not going to finish the season with a good record.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Paolo is a bit of he's very talented, obviously, right? And he's been an all-star, but he's a ball stopper, and he's just, I don't know, it's something about it, right? kind of works in the mid-range and just kind of slowly post up, a bit of a relic, and it's just not. I agree, it's not fun to watch. Bane, I think they had almost a historically bad 3-point percentage last year. The expectation was Bane would come in, and he was kind of obviously why they gave up so much, 4 first-round picks, or was it even 5? A lot for him, and he's really struggled. So I don't know if it's the coaching. Jamal Mosley now is a bit on the hot seat. So I'd agree they're not fun to watch. It is painful. They continue to be one of the kind of bottom 10 offenses year in and year out. But I don't know. I think it's a little harsh to put them down there with those others. And even Toronto. I mean, you don't like watching Toronto? They got a bunch of kind of rangy, long guys who can get things done. They got Brandon Ingram now. What makes you think they're so kind of unpleasant to watch?
Well, they're definitely not going to be good. But the reason I just don't think they're fun to watch is just because, some of their players have not the best shot selection, and I know they may have some really dominant players that maybe not dominant, but fun to watch, but they also have the share of bad shooters. And, I thought, in my opinion, I liked Brandon Ingram, but he go bye-bye. So I think that the team's just getting worse, and, I just think it's really close, that team, between fun to watch or not fun to watch, but I just think he falls a little bit more. Their team falls into a little bit more of the not fun to watch.
I mean, I'm noticing a lot of Eastern Conference teams here, and that's part of the problem with the East, right? And to some extent, some of these teams are just going to make the playoffs because somebody's got to make the playoffs in the East. But anyway, we can move on if you want. What's your next category?
My next category is bad but fun to watch.
Okay.
Now, first up, I got the Pacers. Now, the reason they're in the bad is because they are really bad without Tyrese Haliburton, but I still think everything besides that points to them being a very interesting team. I love Pascal Siakam's play. He's pretty efficient. I like his game. Mm-hmm. He tries really hard out there. I think he's really good, and they also have some young people and just people trying really hard. And I could watch a Pacers game. But if you told me that, the Charlotte Hornets are playing now or the Toronto Raptors, I would be like, oh, no, not this again.
So I'm noticing a trend. You like offense, right? And I think we all do, right? Indiana can put up a lot of points even without Haliburton. They got Nesmith, Nembhard, T.J. McConnell's always fun to watch in his own way, right?
His jump shot might be a little bit different, but I think he's always going to nail that tough midi, so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but I agree. And Ben Mathurin, who hasn't really played much this year, he only played 2 games. When he has played, he's looked great, but again, some injuries there really keeping them down. But anyway, who else do you have in that category?
The Utah Jazz. Now, I think
they are bad.
They are bad, and that's the thing. They might be for the next little bit. But, I mean, they have so many young players, and with those so many young players brings, if one of them does really cool and just plays nice, and a few players I had in mind were Ace Bailey. In the last few games, he's been doing really good. Mm-hmm. He's dropped career highs in all the last games he's played, and in not too many minutes, and, early in the season, we saw those tough middies, and if he made them, it was kind of like a no, yes shot. But I really will, even if it goes in, we'll never have the yes on that, just because it's a tough shot. And if it goes in, I don't want him getting in his head I can make this, and then he takes 5 more of them and misses all of them. So I think he's getting a lot of good catch and shoot threes, and he's making so many of them. It's becoming their spacing, it's really helping him being in the corner there.
Yeah, he is a talented shooter, right? That was always the concern with him. Is always, in Rutgers, he took some pretty optimistic shots, right? A lot of off-balance mid-rangers, just ugly. And I understand he didn't have great teammates other than Dylan Harper, but that kind of is what it looked like to start the year. Now they moved into the starting lineup. He's got a little bit better support system around him. But he's making smart plays. He's crashing the boards on the offensive glass. He's passing. So it's looking good. And obviously Lauri Markkanen seems to be back. Honestly, I would have put the Wizards maybe in this group. They have a lot of young guys, fun to watch.
I just think maybe in one more year the Wizards could go there because...
talking about the Jazz, it's interesting you mentioned the Wizards as being not fun to watch. I kind of would almost put them in the same category as the Jazz. A young team, obviously bad, but a lot of young prospects with, some pretty high upside.
Yeah, I just think, some of them, it's just, I know you'll see their good plays, and, it's pretty exciting watching all these young people do good. But there's also the part where you see a lot of these, really bad shots. It's gotten much better from last year with Jordan Poole and stuff, where,
yes.
it's gone like I watched a Wizards game at the end of the last year, and it was like literally they're pulling up from like deep three, like Bub Carrington deep three, just because like there was no other option to go to, so it was a big issue. But I mean, it has gotten better, but I just think one more year maybe, once those young guys get thinking better and are like, this, maybe I should step in one shot and take the three instead of the wide open deep three.
You're right. They are an unserious team, right? The Jazz, at least this year, seem to be a little bit more competitive. They have a few vets. They have Lowry and Nurkic, and even Kevin Love contributing a little bit. The Wizards, they have Middleton, but not much else. Bob Carrington, I agree, is not good and really not fun to watch either. Anyone else in that category? Or do you want to move on?
I want to just do one final thing with the Jazz, is that another player, I mean, of course, it's very early, but I think Keontae George, because he's always been a good offensive player. His three-point shooting is not picking up yet, but I think it'll probably pick up later. In the last games he's been making those. He's, like, actually trying on defense. Because last year it was all, who cares, then don't play defense. And now it's like, he gets those steals. I saw him get a block the other day. Like, he's actually trying. And, he's drawing so many fouls, like 8 a game or something. And he's making, like, 85%, maybe higher on those. And, like, it's just, like, better shot selection.
Yeah, he's definitely been a bit of a revelation. He's playing defense. I think last year by some of those advanced metrics was the worst defender in the league. So it was a low bar, but certainly playing better. He's getting to the line. He's notching the three well, and he's, that'll come around. And even without that, he's still close to 60% true shooting, and really mostly a function of he's getting to the basket a lot, getting layups with his speed. He's passing the ball well. So he's really taken that third-year leap that you see out of a lot of guards. What's the next category you have?
Well, there's actually one more in this category.
Oh, okay. I jumped in.
I may have not talked about yet.
Go ahead.
The 76ers. I put them in this category just purely because they're not going to be good with Embiid out, but when Embiid plays, he's really interesting, and I think they have so many young players, and, like, they're all back, and, I've seen Tyrese Maxey play amazingly, and it's just, like, I love watching the team. Again, I bring this up again, 76ers game or New Orleans Pelicans game, and I think you know the answer.
Well, they're going to be fun to watch no matter what. Embiid's always interesting, whether he's kind of a shell of his former self, but interesting. We'll see what Paul George will ever become again. VJ Edgecombe, I mean, he's kind of been a bit of a, other than Flag and maybe Knipple, he's probably arguably the best rookie so far, and obviously Maxey. So I think I'd agree with that. And in fact, they might not even be bad. They're fun to watch. They might be in the East. They're probably knocking on the playoffs, and certainly a play-in team, I think, at minimum. But obviously, it's early.
Still on Eastern terms, they're bad with the record-wise. Right. But you wanted to know about the next category. Now, that is play-in teams. Now, okay. I'm going to go through these a little bit quicker because, of course, this is the biggest category because there's a lot of play-in teams. Mm-hmm. First up, I'm just going to go with the Portland Trail Blazers. That's what I put. I think they've, like, if you told me Portland Trail Blazers, Western Conference, play-in team, I'm like, no, I'm not on any planet. And now it's like, I know it's a tough Western Conference, but, like, yeah, I could see a few teams falling and Portland doing good. Their defense is amazing, which is big, and their offense isn't horrible.
Yeah, Portland's really done they're kind of changing the way defense is played in a lot of ways. Why bringing back the full court press is kind of back in vogue, and they're really leading the charge there. They will pick you up from 94 feet, and they have great defenders, across the board. Offensively, even Denny Advia's really doing well now. I think he's averaging about 25 points, and really his combination of usage and efficiency. There's only a handful of guys at that level, and it's most of the the familiar kind of top 10 names. So he's really doing well there. And they still have guys like Scoot coming around, Donovan Clingan, and who haven't really contributed. Shaden Sharp, we'll see. He's still a work in progress. But a great start for them, and really predicated by their defense and forcing turnovers.
Yeah, I think they've been doing really good. Now, next up we got the Phoenix Suns. Now, this was a very difficult one. I was thinking, now, I have to admit, they are not the funnest team to watch.
Yes, I was surprised by this.
Bad but not fun to watch, or play-in team. Now, I just put them in play-in just because, like, I know it's tough Western Conference, but I don't know. I feel like Devin Booker has to have an amazing season because he's the only player there. And I think, Bradley Beal's gone.
Beal's gone, and he's out for the year.
I know. That's helping them, definitely. No half-court shots anymore. And, like, I just think that he has to do good, and he's been doing good.
Yeah.
I think they'll turn it around.
They certainly they don't have their draft pick, control their draft for the next 7 years, so they'll be trying. That gives them kind of a leg up on a lot of these other middling or poor teams. Devin Booker has started to look better this year, and some of these other guys are looking good for them. Jalen Green hasn't even really played this year. He came back for one game and then re-injured himself. So when he comes back, I think that'll give their offense a bit of a boost. I would probably put them kind of a similar to the Orlando Magic, right? They're not fun to watch. Are they bad? Are they playing? It's kind of eye of the beholder. In the West, I think the Suns, that will be a challenge for them, I think, to get into that top 10.
Yeah. Next up now, this is a team that I'm the only team on this list, really, that I might be rethinking is the Memphis Grizzlies. Because, when I made this tier list, which was not that long ago, it was still like, they must turn it around, but just it's continuing going. Like, I just think that if they were in the Eastern Conference, they could make it. But just being in a tough... Now, the playing side on mine is more just like not Western Conference or Eastern Conference, more...
Middling teams.
Yeah, like they're in that zone of wins. They should. So, I just think... I've said it over and over again, and I still don't think it's going to become true, but... And I've said this for a lot of teams. They have to get better. Like, this just had a lot of disappointing players, but I think, just get a little bit better, better shot selection, they can do it.
I'll tell you, Jaren Jackson's been fine. I think it starts and ends with Ja, right? He has been probably the biggest disappointment in the NBA. And this is a guy, 4 or 5 years ago, he was an all-NBA guy. A lot of people probably consider him a top 10 to 15 player in the NBA, and now he is horrible. Obviously, he's some sort of problem with the coaching staff. He's not very coachable. He's a bit of a malcontent. He is having by far the worst offensive season of his career. He kind of doesn't have the burst he used to get to the cup, so now he's kind of just taking these threes and mid-rangers, and he's not a good shooter. And he is a turnstile on defense, so he is just...
You do not want to see John Morant threes.
Right.
And because unless he's wide open, and still I've seen him take wide open threes and not particularly close, and on defense, like you were saying, big issue.
Yeah, they're in a position where I think they would probably want to trade him at this point, but I don't think he has much trade value. Who's going to take him on and deal with kind of the headaches that come along with him, especially if he's not really that talented, and he makes north of $50 million a year. So. And
also, you're not forgetting, just like 2 years ago, all those gun issues, it's so huge that he has so many things that are like, this guy might not be good.
Yeah, they've they had a lot of upside if you looked at him about 3 years ago, and that's really kind of fallen apart. So who else do you have?
Next up, I have the Los Angeles Clippers.
Okay, another one that might be in the bad, but not fun to watch after a little while. They've been really struggling and underperforming.
Just another team, right? It's like this more than anybody. Like they'll even it out. I think they have some good players. I actually think I know. Just like there's been a lot of things happening in the Western Conference. Like this team's doing really bad, and this team's doing really good. Like I just think it'll even out more like around All-Star break.
Could be. I think they're going to miss. I think they're probably regretting that Norman Powell trade. They're realizing now they don't really have enough shooting. They need another shooter. They've Harden. Kawhi's always in and out. But John Collins isn't exactly providing much. Now, obviously, the Bradley Beal signing is a complete disaster. He's out for the year. And probably is done at this point.
I don't know why they took on Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal has kind of had a disastrous outcome now of really 3 straight franchises.
He's
ending with Washington, Phoenix, and now the Clippers.
He's perfectly fine doing that, and he just wants money.
Yep. He's certainly gotten rich.
Bring back to the Utah Jazz. Getting off John Collins was a good trade for them.
Yeah, and helped them tank. So.
And then the Clippers taking him on, he'll put up numbers, but he's taking away shots from other players, so it's kind of not helping you that much.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. Who else do you have?
Next up, I have the Chicago Bulls. Once again, Eastern Conference. They've always been a play-in team. since the dawn of time, they've been a play-in team that is the 9th seed and loses, and they are the 9th seed right now.
They actually started off. What was it, 4-0, 5-0? People were starting to think, will they actually be better than kind of that 38-ish win team they always are? They have Josh Giddey, who's been a bit of a revelation. Vooch is still doing well. Bucelis, but they've tailed off now. Their schedule got a little harder. They're back down to earth at 6-5, and really right back, exactly to your point, right around 500, which is where they seemingly always are. Which actually brings us to the next team, who is often right around 500 themselves.
Yeah, the Atlanta Hawks.
Yep.
Now, once again, Eastern Conference. They're the 10th seed. The Chicago Bulls are the 9th seed, interchangeable, and then they just play each other, and it's just like the play-in game you do not want to watch, and it's just like
that said, Atlanta did make some changes this year, right? I think people had a lot higher expectations for them, and maybe still do. They've, Porzingis is in and out of the lineup, as he really always has been.
I haven't seen him in a game yet. I don't know if that's just I don't want to watch Atlanta Hawks
games. I think
games.
they're certainly not playing him in back-to-backs, and he's had he has these mysterious illnesses, which is certainly concerning.
Yeah,
but what do you think of Jalen Johnson? He's really
his
strong.
last game was insane. Now, I get the Jazz don't have the best defense, but still, he just plowed through them. He had an insane stat line.
31, 18, 14, and 7, which has apparently never happened in the history of the NBA, or at least since they've been tracking all of those stats. But, Atlanta, Trae Young's out, and a lot of people are saying they're better without him. They should trade him. He's another guy. I don't know what his trade value is, but, they have a lot of pieces there, and obviously now they have New Orleans pick next year after that complete theft of a trade.
I know, they're in a good situation because usually the Hawks, it's just they're in that place and they get a bad pick, and it's always another year of this until Trae Young retires, and then we tank, which is going to take a while, or trade him. But now with that pick, they could get a really good. They could get AJ DeBonsta, which could change their.
Right now
franchise.
New Orleans is probably going to be a bottom. Again, things can turn around. They're obviously not going to be tanking down on their pick, but right now they're looking certainly like a bottom 3 or 4 team in the league, and a kind of a strong draft year coming up, which is good because Atlanta, the DeJounte Murray trade, they lost a lot of their own picks, so good job by them to kind of right the ship.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on?
Yeah, but just one final thing with the Hawks.
Okay.
I think that their franchise, which has never been good in the last while, because I'm saying, they always get the 1 year they get the number 1 pick is the worst drafting long.
But they got lucky to get that number 1 pick. They were in the play-in. That's part of the reason that another one of these teams like the Bulls, they never really have a strategy. They don't tank, so they end up middling year after year. And they got lucky to get the 1 pick, even though it was in obviously a historically bad draft.
Yeah. Next up, I put the Miami Heat. I like their game this year.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. I would certainly. I enjoy watching them. They're playing at a really, really fast pace.
Yeah.
Right, they're getting the ball across half court in something like 2 seconds on average. Certainly a strategy they've come up with. Interesting what happens when Hero comes back. He likes to have the ball in his hands, but they've been playing at an amazing pace. Their offense has really been really good, and I don't think people expected a lot out of them. And Norman Powell obviously has been great there. Yeah. So they're pretty fun to watch, and certainly look like they're a play-in team at worst. I think in the East.
Andrew Wiggins has been, he was always that dude on the Warriors who's just meh.
Yeah.
But I think he really fits well with this Miami team because they need because with Butler gone, they need a player to kind of fill in that forward role, who is aggressive and can also shoot, because that's something Butler could never really do. That isn't mid-range shots or free throws.
Yeah, and they got Jaime Jaquez is having a great year after a disappointing sophomore year last year.
Oh yes, definitely after his rookie year, where it was this dude could be amazing, and it's this dude can't be amazing.
Well, he was an old rookie, but yes, he's having a great year. Nikola Jovic, not Jokic, is playing well there as well.
I always used to be Jokic. Oh, yeah, but really good season for the Heat. Yeah, next up, Celtics. Now, I think they're just their team right now. This is not where you want to see the Celtics this year. I know Tatum's gone, but either because if they're not a championship contender, then they don't want to be in this play-in 8 seed because I just don't think it's a very good.
Yeah, I mean, strategically, a lot of people kind of expect them to maybe tank this year, right?
Yeah, because they
get a pick. They
have their picks.
They have their pick.
And then next year have a rookie and like Tatum's back. They have a really good team, and he can come off the bench and like because they have spots that he needs to fill with like Porzingis gone and stuff. So if imagine they get AJ to Bonsta, I just think they'd have to lose a lot of games, but he would fit so well. I think that would be huge for the Celtics because like they got these guys who were like 27 and stuff, and like they're still in their prime, of course, and in the middle of it, but starting to get a little bit older. You want to get someone who, when they're older, you have another person in their prime to, make up for that.
Yep. I mean, Jaylen Brown's doing great as kind of the lead man. Derek White has been struggling. I think he's not really cut out for being kind of like a number 2 guy. He's more like a number 4 guy, so that's been a struggle. But they're top 10 in offense and defense. They have a losing record. They've had some tough losses and some blowout wins. But I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of change gears at some point. I know Joe Mazzulla is pretty competitive, but strategically for management, maybe take the pedal off the gas and try to improve their draft position.
Yeah, just like I'm saying before, Celtics, I really do not want to see them in this play-in zone.
They're dangerous.
No, that's not their team.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the next, we have the small playoff run.
Now, what does that mean?
Basically, this team will probably make the playoffs. Better than the play-in teams. They're going to make the playoffs, but I just don't think they're going to do much.
Okay, I'm looking at this now, and I know maybe this is from a few days ago. I do see one team that I'm a little surprised to see in the same group as the others, but why don't you start here?
First up, we got the Detroit Pistons.
Okay.
Now, I think with a lot of young and really good guys, I think they're going to do good in the regular season, which they have been doing. I just don't think that they're cut out for the playoffs because, being a team where it's 2 years ago we were the worst team in the league, I know last year they were decent, but still, just the playoffs is a whole new thing for a lot of their players.
Yeah, I mean, they are currently in first place in the East. I know it's early; they're 10-2,
and it's the East.
And it's the East, but their defense has been pretty tough. They got Asar, they got Jalen Duren's been great. It's I think offensively as well as a struggle. They have Cade, obviously, who's great, but it's such a heavy burden for him. I mean, I'm sure you saw that he missed 31 shots, most since the merger with the ABA back in the 70s.
45 shots taken, because they got Jalen Duren, but he's not a guy who's gonna shoot.
No.
So Cade needs to take over that role, and I just think that's not gonna they're not gonna have a game where he shoots like that in the playoffs, or they could have it, but it's not gonna end well.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of guys offensively who can create their own shot other than Cade, and I think they missed a guy like Malik Beasley, just spacing the floor, giving him threes. They got Duncan Robinson. They hoping he's like a reasonable facsimile, but
Duncan
he's not
Robinson, yeah, he's not Malik Beasley. I know he's old,
Yep.
but you give him a 3, he's nailing that.
Yeah.
Duncan Robinson, it's always I think he can make it, but he just missed 5 in a row, so I don't know, and he's kind of different.
And they hang their hat on their defense. They are the number 3 defense in the NBA, and Duncan Robinson is obviously not going to help that, right?
Yeah,
so you're giving up a lot by having him out there.
Yeah, I just think it's too late now to get him off.
Okay, who else you got?
Next, this is a team where, once again, may or may not have changed my mind on this one. By may or may not, I mean definitely changed my mind.
This is the one that caught my eye.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I put the Mavericks there.
Okay.
Now, looking at everything, I think, in my opinion, switch the Mavericks with the Heat would have made more sense. Or just put them at the bottom, because right now, it's just
Are they fun to watch?
not at all.
I mean, they got the number 1 pick, Cooper Flag.
Yes, but Cooper is
they're
not a shot creator, and I just think he's not set out to be a point guard. I know he can dribble, but he's not shot creator. All their players are injured. AD's he's made of glass. He was walking to the bench and got injured walking to the bench.
Yeah,
It's
that's the irony. They traded Luka because he was out of shape and had an injured hamstring, and now AD shows up out of shape and injures his hamstring.
and Luka's doing amazing,
Yeah.
which we'll get onto later.
So I think they are near the bottom of the West. I do think obviously they've had some pretty hard injury luck. AD's out. Gafford, Lively have all missed time. Obviously, Kyrie's out for the whole year. So maybe they can turn it around, but they're just not a well-run organization. I don't like Jason Kidd. Obviously, he was a part of that Luka trade. He was involved. They got rid of Nico Harrison. That's
the best move they've done.
Step in the right direction. I think they're going to look, at least the rumors are, they want to trade Anthony Davis and kind of reset. Now, I don't know what his market is right now.
That's like, because if you told me trading Luka Doncic to reset, I'd be like, no, you're insane. Luka's your reset.
Yeah.
But you traded him for a guy, which sucks, or not sucks, but is never allowed to do good.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know if they're, I don't think you can trade him now. He has such low value. You got to rehab his value a bit. They do have, next year, in the 26th draft, they do have control of their own pick, which they're not going to have for a period of time after that, given all of the moves they've made in the past. So I don't know. Do they try to tank and get another top pick? It's just they're in an awkward situation. I don't envy them. So
yeah. Next up, we got the San Antonio Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know there's all these people being like, Wemby's gonna win MVP. He's gonna dominate. His team's gonna be amazing. Now I know they've had a great record. I just don't think Wemby can do it. I think just something about it. Just like I don't think he could do it. Playoffs are a big thing. Like he hasn't made them very much and gone very far at all.
Never made them. I mean, he's young. He's in his third year. So.
Yeah, but still, I just think like even if they do that, like this is why I put them in small playoff. I think they're gonna have a great regular season because these people are like resting their centers and stuff because they need to get ready, and then it goes on to now in the playoffs. It's like they're not resting anybody. He's gonna have to play such a huge role for the Spurs because like there's who's a huge disaster on the Spurs.
Yeah, I mean
you can name him.
Who? De'Aaron Fox? Who on the Spurs is a huge disaster?
Turnover machine.
Oh, Stephon Castle?
Yeah, I know he puts up the numbers, but like he's averaging so many turnovers a game. Like, and Wemby is doing amazing, but
he was an interesting rookie of the year choice to be sure. I mean, Wemby is amazing. He has cooled off a bit. I think teams are starting to figure him out a bit. Just be physical with him, and obviously defensively he is unstoppable. And they're gonna they'll be a top 5 or 6 defense. I think that's kind of certain, and that'll get
just Wemby doing that,
and that'll get you 45 wins. All right, so Wemby obviously is been amazing, especially given the fact that he's only in his third year and missed a lot of last year. But they're not a super balanced team. I don't love the fit of Fox, Castle, and Dylan Harper whenever he comes back. They need some shooting, right? So they're a work in progress. I do think they will be a tough out in the playoffs, and I certainly think they'll be probably in that 5 to 8 back in the playoffs, maybe a strong play-in team depending on health. So yeah, I'd agree with you in that, putting them there. Do you want to go ahead with the last team in your small playoff group?
Yes. Now this is the Golden State Warriors. Mm-hmm. Now, this was a very tough one for me because, of course, I love the Warriors. And I love Stephen Curry, but I just think there's so many dominant teams in the West. It's just like, if they make the playoffs, it's like, I don't think they can do it. Steph pops off. Butler playoff Jimmy, but like I don't know, with injuries also, it could just so easily be like, oh no, Steph hurt himself, he hurt his ankle, and then Butler's not feeling well. We just missed 2 games and now we're down 2-0. So
yeah, I mean, interesting. There's a lot of people before the season, by adding Butler, and if Curry is still Curry, thought they were potentially in that championship contender group. Interestingly, Curry's been a bit up and down. He had a great last couple of games. And Butler has been healthy and doing his Butler thing, getting the line, being efficient, actually making his threes and taking more. But even so, they're still only the 22nd ranked offense, which, the Warriors you always think of as being a kind of a high-powered offense. So I think that's a problem. And a lot of that is the supporting cast, right? Kuminga's still kind of inconsistent. And so
an issue.
Yeah, Draymond is obviously never going to give you great offense, beyond the passing. So I kind of agree. I think they're probably going to be that 6 to 8 range.
Yeah. Now, again with this team, I just think it's always a big issue with like Curry's old and he's still in his level, but it could happen through the regular season. He just one day he's not as surprised. He did one little one ankle injury, misses like 2 weeks, comes back, never the same. Like, because at that age, it's very unreliable.
I mean, they are old. They added Al Horford, who's even older. What is he, 38 now? And he's been not really the Al Horford you expect to see. So I don't know. You know, again, he's a guy who kind of rises to the occasion of the playoffs. So we'll see. But again, I think I'd agree with that. So really, my biggest disagreement, I think, of that group is the Mavericks, which it sounds like you're kind of backed off on as well. So anyway, I mean, we've talked now for quite a bit of time. I know you have 2 more groups. Did you want to talk about those today or save those for another time?
Now, we're cutting 30 minutes. We may have already hit it. I don't know how long we've been filming this, but you can check for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think let's keep the suspense waiting.
Okay.
We'll have to wait another week to see the top 2. But if you'd like, you can send us a mail on what you think, and we might just share you. If you ever want to send us mail or anything, it is generationalleyup@gmail.com. It'll be linked in the description. I think just send it there. You're going to get read unless it's crazy. But yeah, so this is Generation Alley-Oop's first episode. I hope you guys liked it.
Awesome. That's been fun. All right, so we'll be back, talk about those top 8 teams and getting some arguments about who really is a championship contender.
Yeah, mine are definitely a little bit different than yours. Well, this is Generation Alley-Oop signing off.
Bye-bye.